What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Underground Crypto Deep Dive Show. Welcome in my Underground Crypto family. How's everybody doing tonight? Let's check out this chat. Of course, let me make it so you can see what I see here. Look at that. Get myself... Wow, there we are. It's almost like I've done this a couple of times before. How's everybody doing? Throw something in the chat. Let me know how you are tonight as the world turns and the crypto markets maybe tumble down a little bit. Is it the end of crypto? Is it a beautiful opportunity to buy at lower prices? You tell me. That's how I'm feeling about it. I'll give that away. Strugahar in the building. Melissa just being the best mod she can possibly be. Thank you for being here. Why don't I feel like there's something up with my camera there? All right, I think I fixed it. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Cryptic Quentin in the house. Camsta rolling in. Welcome in, everybody. All right, so here is kind of where we left off. Let me zoom us in a little bit here. It's a 4 hour. I've been sticking to those higher time frames. We were talking about this. Shoulder, head. Wow, I really did a terrible job there. Let's try that again. Shoulder, head, shoulder, and I think we were right about here when I last talked about it. And I was like, look at this measured move. You know I'm not making it up because I already have the measured move from yesterday. You could look at yesterday's stream if you really cared. And you got, let's see, from that neckline so far, I guess you can't really do it that way, can you? Interesting. Trying to pull a percentage there. I forget how I always do that. Anyways, you see the shoulder, head, and shoulder. Here's the measured move. Says that we could easily go down to about 57,600. But we got to break this previous low here, which you did pretty much just bounce off on the 4 hour. Let's go take a look at the 1 hour, right? Very V-shaped recovery. Are we going to get like an Adam and Eve? Or are we getting like a shoulder, head, shoulder kind of thing? Not drawn the best, but you certainly get the idea here. And we're giving it a minute for everybody to roll in. Tired from work, but I'm here. Welcome, everyone. Hey, you showed up, and that means the world to me. Thank you very much for everything that you do. And I feel you. I'm a different type of tired. Cryptic Quentin says, tired of winning, boss. Hey. That happens sometimes. Sometimes you just win so much, it's overwhelming. I tried to squeeze in the gym right before the stream, and I tell you, it was a little tight. But we got to hit them goals, right? And as always, welcome back to Underground Crypto Deep Dive Show. I think now most people are here. The daily live stream where we go deeper into topics that actually raise your crypto IQ, I certainly believe. This week, our series about crypto's trust problem. Let's see if I could talk a little better than I could yesterday. And trust problem in a lot of different ways. A lot of different angles we could come at that. See, Monday we talked about the big question. Who can you trust in crypto, right? I think that's a big question to answer. Tuesday, we talked about custody and whether or not your keys still matter, right? Not your keys, not your crypto. Most people know that. Camsta says it's a holiday today. St. Jean Baptiste. No work for me. No idea about that holiday. I don't know what any of that's about, but good for you that you were off. I don't know if you celebrate that holiday. Holidays all over the world, us Americans have no idea about. And tonight we're moving on to another major trust layer in crypto. Smart contracts, right? How many times has smart contracts been the problem? Crypto often says we can replace trust with code. Or trust the code, I think, is another way that you hear it popularly said. And of course, that being powerful, smart contracts can hold funds, enforce rules, automate trade, manage lending markets, run DeFi protocols, and remove certain middlemen. And it kind of really brings trust into a space where it would be very hard to just trust people off of their word. But there's a problem. Code can be wrong. Code can have bugs. Look at the auditing issues when now that AI is able to really dig into code and look for flaws. Zcash comes to mind, right? Code can depend on outside data, can be upgradable for sure. Code can have admin controls, that can be an issue. And sometimes users see the word audited and assume that that means it's safe. How many times you've been on a website, it says so-and-so audited it, but you don't know who that company is. You don't know how thorough they are. You don't know if there's some behind the scenes trades where they can just pay some money and get approval approved score, and it not be legitimate. Just like paid for science, right? What are you really trusting when you trust a smart contract? And of course, the quote of the day could only be, code is only as trustworthy as the assumption that you have behind it. And if you look closely here, bouncing back to this chart on the 4 hour, let's get rid of this head and shoulder. Yeah, back to the 1 hour. What is going on? I have my drawing tool on. Let's get rid of this kind of shoulder, head and shoulder there. And it kind of looks a lot better on the 4 hour here as far as this continuation pattern goes, but I'm definitely seeing this retrospectively because I'm not trading anything right now. I'm just trying to buy spot bags at better and better and better prices. It seems like now is the time to do that, in my opinion. And that really looked like a continuation pattern, and really that could have been a little bit more top to bottom there. You would have got all the way in that range from where it fell out, and you didn't quite get it, but I mean, you get the point. You got a lot of it and it fell fast and hard, what people love to short just for. Said nice you played hooky today. Yep, went to the pool, was a nice day. Good for you, man. Everybody needs a little bit of a break sometimes. So you can see this bit of a continuation pattern, but on the 4 hour, you did have, this is where it's real troublesome. When you see the stochastic RSI, here if I can make it big so everybody can see it. It turned right here and acted like it was gonna, go up, but it didn't. And that whole time that it turned and went up, you didn't get much of a move, right? You got this flat price action. That signals more downside, in my opinion, there. And of course, let's take a look at Lab. Lab has been trending pretty hard here. Just something I already have up, so it's convenient. Got this nice roundedness here, right? We can get a big cup and handle. Very interesting for Lab. Just bouncing through some things that we already have up here. Mega, I'm going to try to buy this thing as close to the absolute bottom as possible. And that's a timing issue, so hopefully I don't mess that up. Anyways, you can see it's in this range. Pull our measured move. Shrink it down so you can kind of see it. Could say it's like a cup with a very big handle. Knock we were talking about. Still very much in the pattern. Expecting Knock to get a run up to about 8 cents. Oh, 00 Zoe in the house. 007 Zoe in the house. Welcome in, welcome in. Love to see familiar names in the chat. How's everybody doing? We're just kicking off the stream, looking at a few charts, looking at BTC on the 4 hour. And again, for everybody, I'm liking starting off the stream this way. And then we go to our crypto bubbles next. And I really love this segment, the What You May Not Know segment, right? You may not know this, but smart contract audits do not guarantee that the contract is safe. Mind blown. I know. It's a revelation for us all. Ethereum's own developer documentation warns that audits should be treated as a silver bullet kind of thing because audits will not catch every bug, of course. They are an additional review step, means to help you find issues with bugs and things that developers miss. What I was kind of skipping on 3 thoughts at once, what I was thinking is now that AI can do a lot of these audits, maybe we could have a lot more hope in the audit. Maybe not 100% confidence. I don't know if I could ever be 100% confident on anything that anybody tells me that I wasn't a part of, right? And that matters because many users see audit and they mentally translate this to safe, but better translation is someone reviewed the code and that may have reduced some risks. More like somebody reviewed the code and there wasn't like this big glaring obvious problem, right? Wow, Meme Core took a hit today. Hate to see that. But I don't know, they have let me make it so you can see what I'm looking at. They have actual products, so You tell me, are they done? Are they cooked? I don't even know why they dropped like that. So, Meme Core down 80% to 56 cents. What happened? It's very disappointing, actually. Was it bound to happen all along? You know, was this bound to happen all along? Will it bounce back 100% tomorrow? On the year, it's still up 900%, just for reference here. See a lot of red, you get a little freaked out. But on the year, this thing's up like 900%, meaning people who've been holding this for a long time, even with this dip, they're still up 900%. They still got their 9x on their money. A big whale took their profit because they see a lower low, right? And they're going to contribute to getting that lower low. Who knows? Or was there an exploit or some kind of news I don't know about? I definitely would like to see. We'll have to look into that. Beat down 26%. Not going to make the joke about it being beat down 26%, even though I kind of still did. Pump.fun down 11.2%. Good riddance. Not a big fan of the launch pads, although I'm all for people doing, as long as they're not doing anything illegal, I'm all for them doing whatever they want to do, right? Freedom. Lab up 17%. Lab still killing it. Went up to $20. Actually $21. $20.95 if we could round up a little bit there. But right now it's only at $16.46. Meaning although it's up 17 on the day percent, it was up a lot more earlier. And then Aave's up 10%, which is good because Aave had all of those issues. Let's go throw Aave on the yearly, actually. Let's do it on the month. You'll see this whole exploit thing. I believe this is here. I don't believe it was farther back than a month. I think it was within a month. How the time flies in crypto. Anybody else? Toggle our 1 through 1,000 here. See, 1 through 1,000 separated by hundreds. If you are new, biggest loser category of the day. Actually, there's two that's tied. 7 to 800 down 3.3%. 300 to 400 down 3.3%. And 2 to 300 actually down 3.2%. Very, very, very close. 3.1%. So a very red day. And usually it is made up of some really big loser. I'm not going to lie, at like 50 cents or whatever, I buy some more Meme Core. Unless there's some kind of news and big exploit or something like that where it could go a lot lower. Unless that happened, I'd probably go ahead and buy some. Because I use MemeX on a regular basis. I mean, Meme Core is more than MemeX, okay? But I like MemeX. It's like a Web3 Twitter, and I do get a lot more engagement on it than I get on Twitter. I mean, it makes some sense, right? Because why is this here? It's very weird. I didn't put this exclamation point there. Anyways, as you can see, just a normal post, I get 337 yesterday was about that, 500. I'm getting a lot more engagement just without even having to do a lot. And then the people who I talk to are actually crypto people, which is really nice. Plenty of people out here trying to shill something, right? And a lot of people from a lot of other places like Japan and China and stuff like that. But overall, I like the product. Just a sneak peek. I swear I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. They do have some staking. You have to have at least $100 worth to stake. Obviously, I bought $100 worth at one point. I was doing pretty good on it. I had doubled it and tripled it and quadrupled it, I think, even at one point. But right now, I'm probably down 50% on it. But anyways, they have a real product. This is not all Meme Core is, but this is within their ecosystem. And it's hard for me to believe that that won't matter at some point as a comeback. You should multi-stream on X2. Cryptic Quentin, I have looked into that. It will happen for sure, but it's not as simple as you think it is, right? In order to multi-stream onto multiple platforms, you have to go through something. So it's like, it just adds another step. Plus, you got to pay for it if you want to stream to more than 3 platforms. Then you got to pay money. A lot of them start at like $50 a month. And if you don't do that, they leave the watermark in there. You can only stream to like 2 platforms at a time, and YouTube counts. So really for free, you can only stream to one other platform, which I guess would be X. So it's going to happen at one point. A lot of things that I'm working on. Never enough time in the day. Let's drop down another 100 here. But thanks for saying that. Cryptic Quentin always has really great intentions. I also want to point out that Cryptic Quentin came up with the doom scroll segment, which I really like. What really messes up that Twitter doom scroll is just how many, crappy people post fake stuff. So you just like put in a hashtag that's related to crypto, whether it's DeFi or crypto or whatever, and then we could just scan through it and take a look at what's going on. We'll come back to it, but unfortunately a lot of times it's just like a bunch of shillers and scammers and crap. All right, Gwei up 12.5%. Of course, the green catches my eye. This 01 exchange, we talked about it. 01 point exchange, whatever. Hey, look, it's Ned. It says Wick Rider Ned. What's up? Welcome in. Welcome in. Always appreciate you being here. Haven't seen you in a while. There is never enough time in the day. Amen to that. I need 3 of me, and that is why we're going to have to embrace AI and AI bots and stuff, because I don't know how else I'm going to be able to have 6 of me running all the time. Hey, why stop at 6? I'll have a whole swarm of me, and I'll have like 100 of me. Anyways, what's down in this region? Looks like Sky AI, Billions Network. Actually looks like it's actually spread out pretty evenly, the red here, across this 100 to 200 category by market cap. Grass up 5.6%, BTW up 5.2%. Grass had some kind of, they're rolling out a custodial wallet in their app, in their mobile app. I did catch that. Probably why I got a little pump, but probably only matters to the community. Who cares about it, right? Humanity down another 50%. I think it's fair to say that humanity's cooked and may never really come back, or they're going to figure it out and get it together, and you're going to have the most amazing time to buy ever. It's hard to say. SLX, or Solstice. I think for humanity would be better if it was like a much stronger project before it had a problem. But I don't know a ton about it. Maybe that's worth a deep dive, right? 32 cents here for Solstice. Hasn't been around a whole terrible amount of time. Doesn't even have a yearly number here. I remember when it kind of token generated. Then we have basic attestation service. If you don't know what attestation means, well, you need to raise that crypto IQ, and you are in the right place. I feel like I'm taking a little too long on that. Look at this, Melissa. SYN. We were looking at this chart. It is up. It is up. And then I think I'll go down one more because it was the biggest loser of the day. 300 to 400. Sahara AI, Manta, and CeeLo, they're all up. But everything else kind of down a nice 15 to 20% here. Is this that Arkham? Yeah, it just rolled out its token. It's down. It's not a good environment to be rolling out tokens and stuff like that. Let's do our price rundown. Ned says, Solana didn't make it a new low like Biddy and the others. Makes me think likely short in Solana, not financial advice. It's a good point. Just kind of like when things are pumping and we start turning around, you look at projects that haven't really caught a pump yet. Well, a lot of them, if they're decent projects, are probably going to catch a pump, right? I saw today it surged. SYN says, Melissa, well, hopefully you owned a little bit of it. I'm sure you probably did. All right, so Bitcoin, $60,722. Yeah, we fell a good bit. Today, 3.5%. Last 7 days, 5.7%. Ethereum got dragged down as well. It's hanging on just above 1,616 to be specific. BNB, $563, down 6% in the last 7 days. XRP to $1.07. All the haters are rejoicing over XRP. They swear it's going back to, I don't know, a penny. They all have something crazy to say about it. It hasn't performed beautifully. It's down 10% in the last 7 days. Solana, $67.68, down 5.9% in the last 7 days. Hyperliquid, $63. Dogecoin, losing that 8 cents, hanging out at 7.5. It's down 11.4% in the last 7 days. Zcash, $412. Everything on sale. Black Friday sale for crypto, everybody. What can I say? What can I say? Zcash, $412. Down 14.5% in the last 7 days. I feel like the new people get really highly discouraged. They get scared for their bags. They panic sell, and the OGs who've been around in the space for a long time are like, I've got a little cash on the side. I was waiting for a day like today. And even then, they just take a nibble because they probably think we're going to go lower. Because it make a lot of sense that we bottom around October to December, right? Somewhere in that region. XLM down 20%. Even with a little bit of positive news in the last couple of weeks. Canton Network, 15 cents. Monero, $310. Chainlink, $7.39. Cardano, 14.5 cents. Lab, one of the few things in the top, 50 really crushing it. Lab, 24.9% to the upside. Graham, we used to call it Toncoin. It's $1.58. HBAR, 7.5 cents. Avalanche, $6.40. SWE, losing that 70-cent region. I love that. I would love to buy some more SWE. We learned a lot about SWE and how it's movement-based, and it's more focused on objects, if that makes sense to you, if you understand how that works. 67 cents here. I like it. I wouldn't be surprised if within the next few days we get like a bounce. We may still wind up going lower, but a bounce nonetheless as people deploy capital into things that they've been sitting on the sideline, and if they're smart, they're going to take a nibble. I don't know if it's smart to go all in right now on projects that you wanted to buy. Never financial advice here. I'm just talking from my own experience, but we probably are going to go lower. So what is trending out there in the land of CoinGecko? Bitcoin, of course. Remember, trending doesn't always mean positive. Memecore, it's trending, and it took a dive. I mean, Memecore was like number 24 or 28 by market cap, somewhere in there. Now it's 73. Like, it took a hit. Its market cap is now under $1 billion. Somebody pulled out on that thing. Somebody was a whale, and they were like, I'm done with this. So we got lighter, or they're just playing whale games, which is really common too. Matter of fact, somebody might really believe in this coin, and so they were up. Him and his buddies sold out of it, and they're going to buy back in. They got everybody freaked out. People are going to panic sell for the next couple of days. I mean, this is how a lot of these big players and whales play. Lighter, Solstice. Solstice might be one you might not be as familiar with. Actually, Solstice is up 114% in the last 7 days. That is worth noting. Xano. Xano never really did anything exciting. It'd be kind of hard to get me back into believing that Xano is going to be anything amazing. But I've seen so many coins that were nothing come back. I mean, I remember Solana at like $20, right? And we thought Solana was dead because it was so closely tied to FTX. It was kind of Sam Bankman's freed, his chain, really. He was like the face of it with FTX and all that. And then when that all crashed, I mean, that thing went to $20. And then look how it bounced back. Could have been a great play. Rain, prediction markets. Prediction markets, not my favorite thing, but, the narrative does well. People are going to gamble. They're freeing it up and making it easier to do than even some other gambling. I mean, if you can make a prediction and lose all your money on if it's going to rain tomorrow, then I also feel like you should be able to play whatever slot you want online without some stupid regulation. I don't know. Pick one. Pick one side or the other. Aave. Pudgy Penguin's probably the strongest NFT in the game, but that doesn't really mean much because NFTs are not really doing well overall. But Pudgy Penguin is one that when we get down to that October, to December area, I might have to scoop a little bit of that. Pump.Fun, Hyperliquid, Solana, SWE, Siren, Nessa, which I'm not familiar with, and ICP, which I hold a tiny bit of ICP, just thinking out loud here. What is this? It's not a rebrand. According to GoPlus, this is a proxy contract. The contract owner can make code changes to the token contract, including, but not limited to, disabling selling, changing fees, minting, transferring tokens, etc. Exercise caution. I don't know anything about this thing other than it looks like it just came out today because it did. The token generated, not the first time the team ever made a post on Twitter, but the actual token going live, right? A token generation event. 36.6 million in market cap. I'm probably not paying as good a job to this chat as I probably should be doing. Yep, Melissa says she does own some SYN. Well done, well done. And this Nest has an infinite max supply. It's .ai. Smart contract platform layer 1. I'd be weary. Just between this, ability to do whatever they want to it, an infinite max supply, so there's not any real scarcity, and probably all these projects are like this. There's like very little knowledge about when coins actually get minted and what environments and how many, and so that can really hurt you over the long run. Is there anything else worth looking at? Let's take a look at Solstice. 75.9 million in market cap. Before we look at anything else, what the heck is it? It is DeFi, yield farming, Binance Alpha Spotlight, and governance. Look out for a series. I don't know if it's going to be next week because I really want to run this series like XRP, XLM, what is real, what is not real. We've had a lot of time. This is more of like an updated thing, right? Because we've all heard so much stuff on the internet about it. What can we verify without a shadow of a doubt? And what is completely speculation, right? I think we might do that next week. It also draws a good crowd, I'm not going to lie, when you just put XRP in the thumbnail and the title. And crypto's really down. We could use it. So, contracts here, Solana and BNB smart contract. With a name like Solstice, it's got to be on Solana, right? Let's go take a look. It is solstice.finance and it's in yield. So that kind of tells you a whole lot right here. Let's launch the dApp. Now, they are touting that they've been around over 3 years and stuff like that. So they're trying to say, hey, we're battle tested. We're battle tested. You can trust us. So we have this one-click easy yield, stuff like 3.5, 3.7 APYs. But this deep DeFi, which probably means higher risk, probably just means higher risk, to be honest with you, says you can get 20% APY. Of course, in my opinion, the higher the percentage, the higher the risk. Because you got to do something that's a little bit more speculative and a little more risky to bring in more money generally, right? TVL. And again, I was saying keep a lookout for a series where we're going to do about yield. And like, where does it come from? You see all these yield products, but like, what are they doing? Like, they're obviously taking all the money and they have a plan or some kind of, I don't know, smart contract. They're going to put this money in and they're going to put that money to work, right? I feel like they're obviously hoping for stuff like 50, 60, 70% on the money. That might be a little bit more than what's real. Maybe they're really only hoping for 30 or 40% on the money, and then they break you off, you know, somewhere between like 10 and 15, really good yield. Most of them are like 7, 8, or 9% at best. So the point is they're making a bunch of money, and then they're going to give you a little piece of it because you let them borrow their money, just like a bank would do, right? Even though the bank, they give you 0.01 unless you have a high yield, and those, they're not even amazing, let's be honest with you. Anyways, here it is. These are their products. This is all you really need to know about Solstice. They have a 2 product, right? An easy, probably more safe, simple product, one-click yield. Solstice Delta Neutral. Sounds very safe. And then you have your risky Solstice partner ecosystem, deep DeFi, where you can make 20%, or it could all go wrong. I have no idea. But what I do like, if it's true, their TVL, 505 million, is up 40%. I don't know if that's since the project launched or in a year. That, I don't really know. It's not worth spending the time on. And of course, last but not least, survey says max chart, token generation event, something like May 25th, 2026. Like I told you, I remember when it came out. Hasn't been around all that long. Let's take a look at that fear and greed index. Camsta says, what's up, boys? Did you fire up the shorts today or what? Hey, Camsta, Ned was just talking about Solana hasn't made an all-time low yet. He says not financial advice, but you might want to think about shorting Solana. Now, I'm not saying that because I haven't looked at the charts or any of that jazz. Fear and greed index has been dropping, right? Steadily dropping. A month ago, 34. 7 days ago, 15. We did range like up here at like 23 and 24 and stuff like that for a hot minute. You can see that in your bar graph down here, right? And right now we're at 12. Yesterday we were at 17. So confidence is dropping. And I don't know, when we start seeing like 8 and 5, last time we saw 8 and 5, it wasn't long before that was a great buy. So keep that in mind. Again, I'm still, taking little nibbles as I look for the bottom of the market. That's where I'm at with that. Let's go take a look at the coins over on Crypto Rank, because it always gives us some good ones. Make it the top 20 and not the top 10. At the top of our list, we have Nessa, but hold up. You know what this channel's all about. This channel is all about raising that crypto IQ, and if you thought we were going to let that slip, nope, not today. So as we always start about, as we introduced, with a story to open up the topic of the night, I like to start with the problem. Because if you don't understand what the problem is, well, then what's the point of knowing what a solution is? Going all in on Soul Short because UG said so. Nice. You tell the regulators it was all my fault, or whoever. And he says, just kidding, but it's a good one. So, of course, like I'm saying here, we got to know what the problem is. And we're talking about smart contracts. We are raising your crypto IQ, and I am pushing you guys a little bit. Hey, love it or hate me, I'm going to try to push you a little bit. I guess you could always just tune out. Not literally, though. Don't go anywhere. Just mentally tune out, right? And I guess you could not learn anything, but that's on you. I'm doing my part of the deal. It'd be cool if you did yours. I don't know if we made a deal. I don't know if that sounds good. UG confirmed Soul going to $20 tonight. Hey, put that in the thumbnail. They'll all come running in. This is financial advice is what it should say in the thumbnail. Okay, the problem. One of crypto's most powerful ideas is that code can enforce rule. They say don't trust, verify, and then they say code is law. That's what they were murmuring about when Ethereum had its big exploit, you know, and then you had Ethereum split and Ethereum Classic. One person said, no, let's roll it back. We messed up and it's our fault, but we don't want to take responsibility for that. That'll hurt too much. And Ethereum Classic said, no, code is law. That's how this works, and we're going to take the punch. And look who won. We hear the story, and you think of like a movie script or something, and you think, Ethereum Classic should have won because they honored the ethos of crypto. They did not. They did not win. Everybody went with Ethereum as if that was the actual coin, and Ethereum Classic mostly got lost in the dust, except for a handful of people who maybe understood what happened. I digress. Instead of trusting a banker, broker, app company, or middleman, users can interact with smart contracts. The contract holds the logic. The blockchain records the activity, and the rules execute automatically. And that is powerful, but it also creates a new kind of trust problem. Hence, wink, wink, what we're going to be talking about tonight. Because now the question becomes, can you trust the code? Uh-oh. Every time we fix something, another thing seems to break. But don't worry, Underground Crypto going to walk you through it. And that sounds simple until you realize how much is hiding underneath the question. Was the code written correctly? Was it tested? Was it audited? And now was it audited by AI, which is far more fast and sophisticated? Can it be upgraded later? Who controls that upgrade if we do? Again, with the Ethereum. Does it depend on an oracle or some kind of data feed? Is that a point of risk, right? Does it depend on another contract? Is it written on top of another contract is what they're trying to say. And does it depend on a bridge? Is there an admin key? Remember, these admin keys are what got phished and a lot of your money lost on bridges. They weren't actual hacks, most of them. Can funds be paused? Can rules be changed? Can the front end show one thing while the contract does another? That is where smart contract risk lives. If you've never really thought about smart contract risk, I think you're in for a bit of a treat tonight if you're willing to put in the work and grow that muscle inside your skull, raise that crypto IQ. I'm on one tonight. Going to the gym before the stream, I think that's a winning idea. Not just in one obvious bug, but the assumption around the system. So we've laid out the problem, right? We know where the holes are, but what's the shift? This is the shift users need to make. A smart contract is not magic. I think to most people, the older you are, the more technology just does magic things and we don't know how it does it, right? But there's somebody out there who's really smart, who does legitimately know how your phone works, right? And why it works and the code and yada, yada, yada. But probably not your 80-year-old grandfather. Don't get me wrong. I've been impressed by some 80-year-old grandfathers. Don't get me wrong. But by majority. And it's not magic, all right? Just to burst anybody's bubble in here. It's code. Ethereum describes smart contracts as programs that run on networks and execute functions when users interact with them. I'm going to roll that back. Ethereum itself describes a smart contract as a program that runs on the network being Ethereum, but it could be implied any other network, and executes functions when users interact with them, meaning like they're meant to do something specific. When you interact with it, it does that specific thing on the network. That code can be powerful because it runs predictably until it doesn't. But predictability only helps if the code is written correctly and the surrounding system is designed well. Two different things you got to look at: the code itself in the smart contract, but then where it goes and what it tries to interact with has to be pretty solid as well. Otherwise, there's more room for problems. If the code has a flaw, it may execute a flaw perfectly, right? So it might have a flaw in the code and it does what it's supposed to do perfectly, but it's still flawed. Get what I'm saying? If the Oracle gives bad data, here's another problem. Oracles feed data in real time. Think Chainlink, and there's several other oracles, right? Well, that could really mess things up, and the contract may use bad data and still mess up. If the admin keys can change the rules, then someone still has control, and that is not trusting code. That is trusting whoever has the admin keys, that they don't do something shady or just leave them somewhere sitting around where somebody can get into them. And I mean that digitally, of course, not like in their desk or their car. If the protocol depends on another contract, one weak link can become everybody's problem, and we've seen that as well. That means crypto users need to stop thinking of smart contracts as automatically safe just because they're on a chain, right? Just because we can say that they're blockchain technology. There's nuance to life, and some people really can't handle that. They get very upset at the nuance because they got to think, and they don't like that. They don't want to think. They just want to blindly trust. On-chain does not automatically mean secure. Transparent does not automatically mean understood, and audited does not automatically mean risk-free. But there is a payoff. What could it be? We said so many negative things, right? Once you understand this, you start looking at DeFi differently. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. You stop asking only what is the yield, and you start saying, well, where does that yield come from? I swear we're going to do a whole series on this, and I'm going to raise my own crypto IQ because I have a lot of general knowledge, but not specifics, and I would really like to know how much variety there is in these different yield contracts, or are they all pretty much doing the same thing, and some are just giving you a little bit more money than others? I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to find out together here at the Underground Crypto Deep Dive Moonbase. Yes, I am. I am streaming live from the moon. Where does the yield come from? What contract holds the fund? And has this protocol ever been audited? Is it upgradable? Who has the admin controls? What oracle does it use? How long has it even been live? Has it been battle tested, right? How much money is at risk here if something really goes wrong? And what happens if something breaks? Who's responsible if something breaks is a great question as well. That is the real crypto IQ lesson that we are getting into. Remember, this is the intro. Smart contracts are one of the reasons crypto can exist without a traditional middleman. But smart contracts do not always remove the need to think. They make thinking more important. Tonight, we learn about how to see the trust assumptions hidden inside the code, and that's what it's really all about, right? Trust assumption. Where are we assuming that there is trust where maybe there's not really trust, right? It's being inferred. All right, that was one heck of an intro. It actually took me a little bit of time to get that the way I wanted it for everybody. And I hope it serves you well. If one person raises their crypto IQ tonight, well, then I can go to bed happy knowing that I did what I set out to do. Let's take a look at what is trending over on Crypto Rank. And how's everybody feeling out there? Throw me your favorite emoji just so I can know that you're still out here. And that I didn't scare you away. And no, this is a Zevia. I know somebody out there thinking I'm drinking a Bud Light. I'm not. It's a sugar-free soda. Nessa, which I know nothing about, and it just came out today. That we learned already over on CoinGecko. The product of the compounding, showing up to the show and doing things every day. We find things the day they come out. Now, there was a disclaimer on Crypto Rank. I guess I don't still have it up. That, the code is basically whoever has the code, they're able to do whatever they want. Mint things, stop you from selling, all kinds of stuff. So be wary. Double O Zoe, Melissa. Let's see who else is still out there raising their crypto IQ. Nessa's at 26 cents right now. Trying to say three things at one time. Nessa is a layer 1 blockchain for AI. So they tell us. We're taking their word. We're literally talking about trust assumptions. You read a description and you say Nessa is a layer 1 blockchain for AI. That might be what they want you to think that they're doing. Maybe they're a rug pull who has not really built anything. I'm not saying that for them, right? I'm not making an accusation, but it could be. 37 million and market cap, been as high as 44. It literally just token generated today. It's weird. The 24-hour volume market cap is 0.7. That doesn't seem like it's in the right format. Witness the power of trusted AI on chain. Again, trust assumptions here. What's a good way to get the masses of people to trust something? Tell them that you're trustable, you know? Just say, the most trusted in crypto or something stupid like that. And put it right on the front page of your website, like this. And there is a high percentage of people who will just believe that this is trustworthy. Broadcast trustworthy proofs on the layer 1 blockchain for AI. Now, in all fairness, what they're talking about is being able to show trustworthy proofs. So if the tech's good, I don't want to come out and seem like I'm completely against something, right? Because it's brand new and I don't know anything about it. And all I know is the fact of my own ignorance. How about that, my fellow lifers? You know what I'm talking about. Layer 1 for AI. So Nessa is a global blockchain network bringing AI on-chain. The Nessa platform lets applications and protocols seamlessly integrate with AI. And then they give you some metrics here, you know, like 120,000 AI models on chain, 150,000 nodes on chain, 4.1 trillion hosted AI perimeters. I think you have to be a developer to know if that is important or not. And of course, 124 second inference request, how fast it can think, right? The first fully private AI network. And this is what they're talking about. Private AI network. Your data is never revealed to other participants on the Nessa blockchain. Maybe they just reveal your data somewhere else on a different blockchain. I'm just kidding. Breakthrough distributed AI. They have a video and we're not going to watch it. Not right now. Maybe we'll do that in the members only stream. So secured by trusted execution environments, zero knowledge proof, shared model block, and model hyper perimeters. Interesting. We could do a lot of deep diving into something like this, right? Your home laptop is all you need. The lowest ever minimum hardware requirements to run an AI node. Now, we were digging in, just me and Melissa in the members only stream. We were digging in a little bit to like running a node versus when you're actually mining, and it just really varies from project to project if you like actually earn anything, right? So every other AI platform, you need stuff like 100 GPU, 48 gigabyte VRAM, minimum $10,000. And this is saying you can use a home laptop with 2 gigabytes of RAM and it costs $0. I mean, that's one of those things I'd love to believe it, but I don't know if I do. Because there's a reason why you need a lot of GPU power and stuff, right, on these other platforms. What is Nessa doing that's technologically revolutionary that makes it so you can use a 2 gigabyte RAM? Also, if you're not making any of the token, who cares? This is one of those things. If Bitcoin would have came out in the beginning and they would have said, hey, you could run a node and help the network be alive because you're a, vigilante for blockchain technology and financial freedom, there would have been some people who probably did it. Don't get me wrong. But with no financial incentive, you wouldn't have mining, and you wouldn't have people long-term caring about it. Those people would have at some point turned it off and just stopped doing it, because what is the point? And that's the big thing I want to say about a lot of this. Like, okay, you can have a node from home with 2 gigabytes of RAM, and it costs you nothing, but do you gain anything? Trending AI models right now on Nessa. Now, one thing that I do find highly interesting, and I'm looking at digging into a lot myself, is the use of like AI agents and things like that with Claude. And I mean, a lot of them live on BitHub. You know, you go to BitHub and you grab them and stuff like that. You have influencers talking about like their 50 favorite models and, you know, all the different ways you can use them. There's a lot of opportunity, but you got to get in there and spend some time and really figure things out. So here they're saying, you know, the trending models. This is cool stuff if you're into it. I'm into it because I see the use case and I see how a lot of money can be made, and it's staying on the cutting edge can really do a lot for you. But as somebody who doesn't code himself, I really have to do a lot of research to figure this stuff out. So throw a 111 in the chat if you're actually interested in things like Claude, AI bots, AI agents, not just for holding and the number goes up for a coin, but for the actual using them to build wealth, build apps, build websites, build whatever you want to build, right? Supported by decades of research, they said. Our team has worked in AI for the past decade in areas like generative AI, large language models, computer vision, you don't see that a lot, neural network design, and data science. And it sounds good. First question, are they doxed? Can we actually know who they are? This is a brand new project. It is worth, in my opinion, the time that we're taking to go over this. Introducing AI's native asset. It says it was incubated by Binance Lab. So that is very interesting. I wonder if they gave some of these tokens away over there on Binance. Ness is an essential part of how developers build on Nessa. Our mission is to empower all humans at the same speed with AI. Unfortunately, even if this is a good project, most are not going to listen. Open source over closed source. Okay. Remove the reliance on expansive GPUs. I don't know how they're doing that. That's what I really want to know. Complete and total privacy for your data. Company shouldn't own you. This is Nessa's path for AI. Again, all of it sounds really good. Join the community. Let's go take a look at their X here. See if it looks nice and authentic. Discord is legitimate. Their website has not full checkout here. I will follow them because I'd like to see what's going on. And follow me, Crypto Ron, with the blue check mark on Twitter. I need everybody's support. If you could please follow me over on Twitter. That is Crypto Ron with the blue check mark in my face in the thumbnail. So introducing Ness, pinned from 12 hours ago, has 38,000 impressions. Looks like it's been listed on Gate, OKX, Bitvavo, whatever that is. So many exchanges, BitGet, KuCoin. Usually when a coin comes out like this is what most of their feed is going to be. It's just going to be like all the places where they're listed. I would like to know more about the team. Like, are they in America, and are they subjected to, you know, being held responsible? Or are they in like Pakistan? Right here, I'm going to be honest, it looks like they're somewhere in Asia. But that could just be a meeting. All the people here, I don't want to say all of them. A few of them look like they might be Asian, which doesn't really mean anything. I'll stop while I'm ahead on that one. Let's see. Do we have one for the team? I'm interested to know what's going on. It says mining. Nessa invites miners to join the decentralized AI inference network and earn. Provision almost any machine into Nessa network to power the future of AI. Top tier GPUs, mid-tier budget CPUs, like a standard home laptop, or home computers set 4 to 8 processor core. Start earning with your idle computer. Let's see what happens. Oh, wow. They give you documents. It's not really what I want. Equivariant encryption. Homomorphic secret sharing over encrypted embedding. Wow, I could really take you guys down a rabbit hole that I don't think you're going to want to go down right this second. There's maybe one of you out there who would enjoy that. But I would really probably be overloading you, so I'll do that in my own time. This is interesting. I'm going to leave this up. We really found something here. What I don't like is, and I want to go back and take a look at it here, Nessa has a bit of a warning on CoinGecko. Now, I'll be fair. I've seen this warning on legitimate projects many times, right? It says this is a proxy contract. The contract owner can make code changes to the token contract, including but not limited to disabling selling, changing fees, minting, transferring tokens, etc. Exercise caution is a pretty standard label that CoinGecko will slap on things, but it doesn't mean that it's not true. Now, it could be a foundation, they could be legitimate, blah, 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 but there is risk. That's what I want to say here. And it's got an infinite max supply. You know me, I don't love that at all. Let's move on, though, and take a look at something else. We spent a good bit of time on a new project. I think that was worth doing. You let me know if you feel the same. So Nessa actually generated a token. Let's take a look at a couple that don't have tokens generated yet. This Alum. Alum Lab is a blockchain data provider, right? We were talking about, oracles, data providers, all of these different type of things. Highly important infrastructure. Not the most retail sexy and exciting thing to talk about, but they have their place, and, they raised $60 million for a reason. They are something that is heavily needed. So Alum provides the unified data platform for blockchain analytics teams to extract insight and monitor on-chain patterns in real time. Then we have this PT, and this thing is from, I don't know, the Philippines or something. Indonesia, that's what it was. I was close. As an American, that's close enough, right? For everybody else, they're probably like, come on, man, learn some geography. So financial tech companies developing NIDR, that is their ticker, but I think that's also some kind of technology because it's spelled out down here. The pop-ups. Thank God for the pop-ups on CryptoRank. Giving me something to do. All right, got to be grateful. Company and digital financial infrastructure providers focused on development, issuance, and management of NIDR, a compliant, stable, pegged one-to-one to the Indonesian rupiah? I don't know. I know that we have the ruble in Russia and similar things. I don't know why they're all spelled so similar. But anyways, it's basically for a stable coin. That's what we need to know. We just need our key takeaway here. So Surf Protocol, I know you guys are real familiar with Surf Protocol. It rebranded to Turbo Flow. I guess they thought rebranding and coming up with a cooler name than Surf Protocol, right? That's very outdated here. Turbo Flow, much cooler, was going to do the trick for them here. They've raised $9 million. It is a next generation layer 1 designed for perpetual tradings again. There is a trust assumption here that what this says in the description is even true, right? Just keep that there. Its key features: 1000x leverage on major tokens. They could take your money so fast that it would literally make your head spin till it popped off. 1000x. They are going to eat so many people's lunch. So many people's lunch. People are going to hear 1000x and they're just going to throw $1 over and over and over and over and over on 1000x. I don't know. That's what I'm assuming here. Welcome to Turbo Flow. Everyone gets a seat at the table. Here's your invitation code. I'm not going to register with this because I have no interest in it. But if you want to do 1000x on something, you go for it. If you could catch a good setup, though, that would be pretty awesome. Melissa says, we are live Monday through Friday, 8:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 p.m. New York time, or EST. feel like New York time is a little bit better received, but EST is technically what it is. Also trending, BNB attestation service, which is only 0.8 of a year old. Atleta, 0.9, and it's for sports, right? Sports betting, basically. Then we have Gravity, which is like 1.9 years old. I like that they give that length of time. It saves me a little bit of work having to go over here and scroll back and see what it is. Even though I'm going to do it anyway. Come on. Looks like the 19th of July, 2024. Gravity is a layer 1 blockchain created by Galaxy, offering ZK proofs and restaking powered architecture. If you don't know what restaking is, you might want to ask questions and raise that crypto IQ. I do notice that not a lot of people ask a lot of questions. And every once in a while, we have a good topic that people grasp a little bit more than others. And they ask a lot of questions. And that really shows me that people are paying attention. Now, to be fair, maybe a lot of this stuff is very new to you. Don't worry. Repetition is the father of learning. And we will be repeating things sometimes to make sure you can grasp it, right? Sometimes you just got to hear things multiple times. Let's go over to their website. The ultra-fast parallel EVM Layer 1 blockchain. Gravity unlocks unparalleled speed, scalability, delivering 1 gigagas a second throughput and sub-second finality to over 25 million users, built by Galaxy. That sounded like I was running a commercial for him, right? Affiliate link, affiliate link, affiliate link. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have an affiliate link for this. Gravity is a high-performance Layer 1 blockchain built for mass adoption. Gravity achieves over 1 gigagas per second. I know you all know how big that is, right? A gigagas, I'm sure you guys are like using your fingers. Per second throughput and sub-second finality with pipeline Aptos BFT consensus engine, right? We all know what that is. And GREVM, or Gravity EVM, right? A parallel Ethereum virtual machine runtime while maintaining proof of stake security through restaking technology. There's a little bit of a giveaway. Restaking technology has something to do with proof of staking. 1 gigagas per second throughput. Cryptic Quentin says, a lot of this is over my head, not gonna lie. Bought my first crypto in December 2024, January 2025. Terrible time to get in, LOL. Hey, Cryptic Quentin, but you're in. I don't know. Something about being in, it's got you here. This is the positive takeaway from it, right? Even if the money didn't go well or you're still holding like many of us are. You're here and you care about it because you have some investment. That's a great place to be, and you're raising that crypto IQ. One, highly encourage you to ask questions. Highly encourage you to ask questions, especially in real time when we're going over stuff so that it can be explained in more detail to the best of my ability. And second of all, just understand that repetition does wonders, and the compounding nature of coming to this stream. Sometimes you just finally get enough information together that things just click and you understand things that you previously didn't understand at all. And that can really, in my opinion, and the big goal here when it comes to raising your crypto IQ, can really make you able to see the market for what it is, see the flaws for where they are, the hidden snakes in the garden, if you will, where there could and couldn't be problems, aka like a bridge, and just do a little bit better than the average man at speculating on stuff, right? Then there's the whole, you need to understand that just because there's pitfalls, that doesn't mean people are not going to throw their money at it and that you couldn't make money, but maybe you don't put as much money as you would have, and if it all goes wrong, you still have some money, right? So you start to manage risk a little bit better as well. And this has a whole bunch of things that we could go over, but we pretty much covered. It's restaking through proof of stake. It's parallel EVM. EVM stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine, which is pretty much the standard for everything. We're going to go ahead and move on, right? Because again, I can just keep going and breaking down more and more of a project, but that doesn't always translate to real value for the viewer. So that's why it's hyper important that you ask questions. Take advantage of the fact this is a small channel. I don't have such a large audience that you have to put a super chat just for me to read anything that you want to say. It would be nice to get some super chats. That would be cool. But That's not what it's about. It's about raising your crypto IQ, and it's about me showing up and delivering value first before ever asking anybody to click a link or any of that kind of stuff, right? Yeah, I'm stuck in some coins I'm not so confident about anymore. Down bad on XCN and Sweatcoin. I feel you. I've been there, and I have a couple that I'm down. Like, I'll tell you, my worst coin I ever bought was Jasmine. Just money-wise, right? Not like that coin is the worst, although it hasn't performed real great, and I haven't seen anything out of it. But it was buzzing off of a potential partnership, I think, with Sony, I think is what it was. It was one of those Japanese companies that is well-known, like Samsung or Sony. Anyways, and then it never really happened. And Jasmine is very much in that, Asian market. And I bought $1,000 of it at probably the worst time ever. It might be worth $100 or $200 right now, especially after the pullbacks that we've had. And sometimes you're just gonna get rinsed on certain coins. But mind you, I bought Dogecoin at 0.002. Bought XRP at between 20 and 50 cents. I'm not sitting over here on a ton of money, don't get me wrong, but I'm not underwater because I had some good purchases. So what I'm trying to say is, like, never financial advice, my opinion. Don't get too hard on yourself for coins. There's always opportunity out here. And a lot of people would probably advise against this. I've seen a lot of people talk about it. But I have a tendency to just hold things until they come back above water, which normally happens. And if I really don't like them, once I'm up like $10, I'm selling it. And I'm just not losing my money. Sometimes there's a huge value in just not losing your money, even if it takes you years to do. Everybody starts from a different point. Do you have a plan? Have you written it down? Do you have an idea? Have you ever even thought about, do you like high risk, medium risk, super low risk? You want a 10-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 1-year plan, a 100-year plan, a 6th-generation plan? Like, sounds silly. Think about it, though. Thinking about it can really do wonders for you. XCN has good staking, only good thing about it. Yeah, I feel you. It's how I feel about Solana. I bought Solana at like, I don't know, 175. I threw $1,000 in it. And it's been pretty shitty, to be honest with you. But that is part of the market, and it doesn't really scare me none. I'm numb to the price action. I'm earning on it. I've earned a couple $100 off of that already. And so I'm really not tripping about it. I'm sure it'll go back up to $200 at some point. But when? We don't know. The JCT token has been doing much better than Jasmine. I believe it. Yeah, that's my plan. Hodl till I'm at least breaking even. I might even DCA some more. Yeah, and I have some buys that I don't think were all that great, right? Everybody does FOMO, but I also have buys that are still really above water. Even in this environment right now, I have stuff that I bought that's still up in the profit, right? When I tell you I had some Dogecoin and I only bought it for $220, and it's not worth this anymore, but when it hit that top out at like 75 cents or whatever, it was worth like 23 grand. For $220, it was a great return. Now, I was brand new to crypto. That's actually how I got into crypto, for anybody who doesn't know. And I didn't know anything about 4-year cycle. I didn't know anything about anything, right? I just saw that thing pumping, and I was like, this thing is going to go up for the next 10 years. I didn't know what the heck I was even doing. I could tell that story at some point. But, it's always good that we share our ups and downs. One of my problems is holding too long. I was really looking at that 4-year cycle. I'd been in previous markets, cycles, and I really thought we were going to have an altcoin season at the end of 2025. Turns out it was at the end of 2024. But if you were in 2024 when that popped off, you would have thought, oh, the bear market's starting. This is the run-up as into the bear market, and then it just goes euphoric, right? And you have some crashes and some pullbacks, right? So wasn't expecting straight up. So when we started pulling back in the beginning of 2025, I didn't think a whole lot of it. And then you just never got an altcoin season. That was 2024 at the end of the year. That was your altcoin euphoric top, I guess. And it was pretty lame. They've come in, they've messed with the market pretty hard. I pray we all experience that feeling. Yeah, and I think you will if you stick around long enough, but that's just my opinion. We're talking a lot about trust here, right? I give you guys my opinions and then what I've learned and try to pass it and stuff, but no one person is 100%, right? No person calls a move in the market 100% of the time. Nobody's perfect. That is why it's so important that you yourself raise your own crypto IQ so you can make smart decisions for yourself. Ariel, I don't know how this is supposed to be pronounced, but it's 1.4 million total raised, right? Can't talk still. Funding round. So there's no token yet, and it is a institutional B2B digital asset infrastructure provider offering unified APIs for custody, trading, and cross-border payments. This is service for institutions, and they've only raised like 1.4 mil so far that I can see, so it doesn't sound that great. We have some more Ondo tokenized stocks coming out here, right? Popcat was up like 20% yesterday, I think. It's down 10%. It's giving it back. Digibyte on the radar. That Digibyte's been around for 12.4 years, guys. Just keep that in mind. I don't know. Is there going to be a Digibyte ETF? We had somebody coming in here for a long time who claimed that they worked with or for Digibyte, saying a lot of stuff. I didn't see any positive price action come out of it, but who knows? Sometimes tech builds in the background, right? Chris Goss says 333, my fellow lifer givers gain. Welcome in, welcome in. I love that you stop by and always have something to say. Drop something in the chat just to let me know you're here. It means the world to me. Thank you very much. Lifers, that community has got a lot of high quality people in it. Very proud to be a lifer. So shoot, anytime you see this SN64, that is subnet, immediately tells you that it is in the BitTensor ecosystem. BitTensor, probably the most serious AI project. That doesn't always mean that it gets the most speculation and things like that. Doesn't even mean that they have the best tech forever. People can come in, and people are coming into that space. But they are early on, and they might have some value in first mover advantage and building up networks and communities and stuff like that. We'll be very interested to see how they fare as we continue to move through like a real bull market. AI is going to be real hot, I'm sure. And who knows what narrative might pop up for them. That's why we try to stay ahead of these narratives and sub-narratives. AI narratives, really good. X402 protocol fits in with it. It's not really its own narrative by itself. It's micropayments for AI agents and stuff. Without AI and AI agents, X402 protocol is pretty much mute. But the more that does well, the more some narratives can do really well. I digress. Avantis, AVNT, one of the decentralized exchanges that was hot for a while. Not really a big deal anymore. And then this intraday finance that I couldn't say to save my life yesterday. I got in early on ZBCN and wrote it all the way down. That happens, man. That really happens. And you write it down and you realize you could double your bag for a small amount of money. Sometimes it's a good idea if you believe in the project. ZBCN, I do like that they have a working model where they have payroll and stuff and they can bring money in. That gives them some value and some staying around power. Maybe they roll out some really cool stuff later on. They do have some cool app and stuff like that from my knowledge. I did some videos on ZBCN. And yeah, hopefully at the bottom of the bear, you could like double up on your bag and then ride it back up. It's the best of both worlds, in my opinion. When you ride something down, might as well. You're already in it. If you're already not going to sell at a huge loss, why not throw another $100, $200 in there? And a lot of times they're so low that you could double, if not more than double your bag. You're going to have to sit there and watch that thing go all the way back up anyways at some point. Anyways, Intraday Finance is an AI-powered crypto accounting and financial operation platform for Web3 enterprise, acquired by MoonPay June 20, 2026, so very recently, right? And MoonPay is a pretty big application. And then, of course, the crypto that shall not be named. And we won't name it. Now, let's take a look at some news. Let's see if there's anything that's worth talking about. Of course, Bitcoin fell down to 60,000. And I try to run through this quickly because it can get really repetitive. Bears are still controlling crypto derivatives, they say. Bitcoin has to hold 60K or risk falling into a lower range. Bitcoin can do whatever Bitcoin wants to do. 10x Research says Bitcoin could fall to 55,000 before bottoming. What a revelation. I think any of us who've been around here for a while, yeah, we know we could go to 50,000. You could see a flash wick to 40 at some point, and everybody just lose their mind. If I see us go to 40,000, I am going to buy as much as I possibly can. AI and tech stocks are still pulling attention away from crypto. They keep saying this, and I think there is some truth in it from the bigger money in traditional finance. I think there's some truth in it, right? But I would also say that there is plenty of AI in crypto, narrative and coins and stuff. So you're going to see some speculation in those markets. We're in a bear market, and we're getting down into the bottoms of the bear market. That's where you feel the pain. It's totally normal. So CoinDesk and Bitcoin's latest weakness is happening. Said that Bitcoin's latest weakness is happening while AI tech and AI related stocks continue attracting investor interest. The report specifically points to this SK Hynix, which I put a video about and things. Very interesting company. It's a stock in the Asian market, Korean market to be specific. Filing to raise nearly 30 billion in U.S. Share offering, while NASDAQ was up to Bitcoin and down. If you don't know who Crypto Jeb is, he did a video about this. I think it's a really good video. He went over how you can get exposure to it, all this stuff. I was seeing posts about the Korean market, like just taking a total bloodbath. I don't know how much of it was true and how long it lasted and if it's recovered or not. But getting exposure to like buying actual stock in a Korean market can be relatively difficult. There's a few companies, this is all I'm going to say about it without going into a long rant. There's a few companies that already hold it, that are already American exchange, regulated stocks. And they can give you exposure to it without, there's one that holds almost entirely SK Hynix, and that's probably the best one to buy. But if you want to know what that is, you're going to have to watch that video. Go to Crypto Jeb's new channel, not his old one. He has a new channel focused all about that kind of stuff. The debasement trade is unwinding. So also noted that gold, oil, and Bitcoin all sold off together today, undermining the 2025 debasement trade narrative that favored hard assets because of the worries over government debt and fiat currency weakness. I don't know where these hiccups are coming from. So Bitcoin miners are getting squeezed badly. I mean, bottom of a bear market type vibe here. Bitcoin miners' revenue has fallen to around 30 million per day on 7-day moving average, down from the 50 million per day last summer. I'm not going to claim to know all that, and if that's so many million a day across the entire miners, I don't even know what that really pans out to individually, right, per hash rate or whatever. Mining difficulty is reacting to price stress, right? Bitcoin on-chain activity hit 2-year high because of runes. Now, understand that if it gets really unprofitable to mine, a lot of people will walk away. Then there's less people mining, then there's less competition, so that restructures the difficulty, and then they'll make more money. So people will get shaked out, and then people will stick around, and they will go up in profit. Ethereum Foundation turmoil is still a major topic. Ethereum's biggest supporters are trying to spin the shakeup as bullish. Not a bad idea, if you ask me, at the edge of something remarkable, arguing that institutional capital is moving on-chain and that more than 50 stakeholders backing ETH Lab shows ecosystem conviction. Again, this ETH Lab is like separate from the Ethereum Foundation. It's different. It's something I got to do a little bit more research about, but we were talking about it the other day. I was wondering if some of the people who left the Ethereum Foundation and found this ETH Labs might be like the same people. Aave got a huge bullish call from Standard Chartered Standard Chartered initiated coverage of Aave with long-term price target of 3,500 by the end of 2030, implying roughly a 50x upside from the current level. The thesis is that Aave benefits from DeFi recovery, tokenized real-world assets, and more assets moving into on-chain lending. The bank expects the value of the asset activity in DeFi to grow 37x by 2030. Didn't they just say 50x? I don't know. It's rather either one. 37x and 50x, very good. 2030, not as far away as you probably think it is. And my point is that 2030 is coming regardless, right? With tokenized stablecoins, the real-world asset driving a major lending expansion. Aave is also still recovering from the Kelp DAO exploit fallout that brought the price down, though. Prediction markets are going mainstream with SIBO. I don't even know what that is. SIBO is reviving S&P 500 binary options, which are yes or no contracts on whether the index crosses a certain level. Okay, so that sounds very, prediction market. Prediction markets are polling favors federal rules over state-by-state rules. Okay, so they're going to go with some kind of federal ruling there. The prediction market fight is now CFTC versus states. Trump delayed signing the House bill with CBDC ban. Oh no, is he pro CBDC now? That's going to be the narrative, I'm sure. Congress is debating skinny Fed accounts for crypto and fintech firms. The Block reported that lawmakers discuss whether certain crypto-focused banks and fintechs should get limited direct access to Federal Reserve payment rails through so-called skinny master accounts. Fed Governor Christopher Waller floated the idea last October. The President Trump later directed the Fed to evaluate policies around fintech access. Crypto companies support the idea because it could reduce dependence on partner banks. Community banks are worried that crypto and fintech firms may get bank-like powers without equivalent oversight. Very interesting. And we're going to bounce right back into raising that crypto IQ. I do it for you. I do it for me. I'm interested to see what we get into here. And if you're still here, pat yourself on the back. I think most people get overloaded with information. Smart contracts are automated rules. They're not magic. A smart contract is code that runs on blockchain and executes based on defined rules. Ethereum explains that smart contracts automatically enforce rules through code and are not controlled by a user once they're deployed, right? Users interact with them by sending transactions that call contract functions. That is what makes them powerful. They can automate trades, lending, staking, escrow, token transfers, gaming assets, NFTs, and more. But a smart contract does not understand fairness. It understands intention. It does not know if a user made a mistake. It executes the rule it was given. The takeaway here is smart contracts can reduce resilience on middlemen, but they do not remove the need for a good design, testing, or caution, or a good audit, I would say. Code is law. Becomes dangerous when the code is flawed. Now they're spitting bars. The strength of smart contracts is that they execute automatically. The weakness is that if logic is flawed, the contract still may execute automatically. A traditional company may be able to reverse a mistake, centralized, right? Freeze a system, fix a bug quietly. A smart contract exploit can move funds in minutes, and blockchain transactions are often irreversible. That would be very risky. That is why code risks become money risks. If a lending contract calculates collateral wrong, funds can be drained. If a swap contract has logic flaw, prices can be manipulated. If a bridge contract verifies messages incorrectly, assets can be stolen. The takeaway is, in DeFi, a software bug can become a financial event. So, smart contract risk stack, right? Here's your layer, and what can go wrong. In a contract code, you can get bugs and logic flaws, re-entries, access control mistakes. With admin controls, you can get upgrade power, pause power, and privilege keys. With an oracle, you can get bad price data, manipulation, and delayed fees. We've seen some of these things in the market where they said, hey, there was bad, messed up data being fed to exchanges that told it that prices dipped way lower than maybe they really did. Very quick, very fast, in a flash, like a flash crash. And people got liquidated who probably should have never got liquidated because prices never really actually went to those places or price points, but they got bad data. That can be a problem, and it can also be a problem that's intentionally induced. Dependencies, other contracts, bridges, and liquidity pools. Front end, fake websites, misleading interfaces, and DNS attacks. User behavior, bad approvals, phishing, wrong transaction sign. We're mostly familiar with what you can do wrong as the user, right? Audits help, but they're not a guarantee. It's another thing we really want to drive home here is that audits are great, AI audits are better, but they're not a guarantee, and you shouldn't stake everything on an audit. A smart contract audit is detailed review of a code to identify vulnerabilities, poor practices, inefficient design before launching. Chainlink's Education Hub describes audits as a way to preemptively identify security vulnerabilities and find solutions before malicious actors exploit them. This is why they have hackathons. Bring a bunch of hackers in, give them a legal realm to do what they do, and give them money that they can make and win if they find exploits. Audits are valuable, but they're not magic. Ethereum smart contract security docs say that audits should be treated as a silver bullet because they will not catch every bug. That means users should not stop at the word audited and say, take my money. Better questions are, who audited it? When was it audited? What have they updated since the audit? Has the updates been audited? When the final deployed code, was that audited? Were critical issues fixed? Is there a bug bounty? Has it been live long enough to be battle tested? Takeaway here, audits should mean risk reviewed, not risk removed. I love that. Strugger Hard says he's number one in the IQ raising event. I'm pretty sure that's what he means. He's the smartest in crypto. Upgradable contracts can add flexibility, but also trust. Some contracts are designed to be upgradable. That can make useful because developers may need to fix bugs, features, or improve protocol over time. Now remember, a lot of times we have test nets for this very reason, to fix a lot of the problems, but that's very early development. But upgradability also changes the trust model, right? Open Zeppelin's upgrade doc describes proxy patterns where a proxy contract delegates calls to implementation contracts. This is probably going to get a little bit over your head, allowing the implementation logic to be upgraded while users keep interacting with proxy address. Basically, they're saying it allows things in the logic of the smart contract to be upgraded while users keep using that proxy address. And that means users need to ask, who can upgrade the contract? These are just the questions you should think about. Is there a time lock? Also, these are good questions if you're in a project and you want to know, but you feel like your IQ's not big enough to figure it out on your own. You could just ask ChatGPT some of these questions, but you got to know the question to ask the question, right? And who knows what it could save you in the long run. Is there a time clock, or a time lock, I should say? Is it controlled by one wallet? You can find that on V2 Bubbles, v2.bubblemaps. Good one. We looked at it yesterday looking at a project, and we found like 87% of the entire project was held in one little string of wallets. 60% of the entire coin supply was literally in one wallet. It was pretty crazy. Is it controlled by multi-signature? Can one person signature make things happen, or do they need multiple people? Can users exit before an upgrade happens? Upgradability may reduce some technical risk, but it introduces governance and admin key risk as well. Then you have things versus immutable, means it cannot be changed, and upgradable, which means the opposite. It can be changed. So you have immutable smart contracts, that once they're put out like that, they are what they are. And then you have upgradable ones that can be changed at other times. Immutable contract rules cannot be changed. Maybe a little bit more trust there, right? But the risk, bugs may be hard or impossible to fix at that point. Everything has its pros and cons. Upgradable contracts, bugs, and features can be updated, meaning they can be fixed, but admins have the power to change the logic in the smart contracts. Smart contracts make things happen, right? Time-locked upgrades. Users get a warning time before upgrades are made, so they can decide if they like the upgrades, and if they want to get the heck out of it before the upgrades happen. Still requires users to pay attention. It's kind of like governance. People don't really want to be involved in governance. That's what I find most of the time. Multi-sig controlled upgrades. More than one signer required. Still depends on signer security and honesty. How you guys doing out there? Get you some water. Hydrate that brain. Smart contract depends on more than just their code. A protocol may look like one clean app, but behind the scenes it can depend on many moving parts and data. It also may depend on price oracles, bridges, liquidity pools, other DeFi protocols, token contracts, governance contracts, front-end websites, and admin keys. A 2025 study of Ethereum smart contract dependency risk found that 59% of contract transactions involve multiple contracts, and that actually dependencies are often more complex than officially documented. So there was more complexity there and things that could be broken or go wrong than people realize. That matters because users think they are trusting one protocol when they are really trusting an entire web of dependencies. Smart contract risk is often system risk, not just one line of code. Again, the takeaway of all of this, if it seemed a little techie, is that smart contract risk is often system risk, not just one line of code somewhere that's faulty. What is this thing doing? Stop answering. Stop doing whatever you're doing. Many exploits are not simple bugs. We talk about them like, oh, it had a bug, but a lot of times that's not quite what was going on. When people hear smart contract hack, they often imagine an obvious coding mistake, but real attacks can be far more complicated than this. And we are going deep in the sauce tonight. A 2025 systematic review of major smart contract attacks, so these are attacks on major smart contracts, found that many high-impact real-world exploits, so important exploits, were not caused by isolated bugs alone, but by exploit chains involving protocol logic, governance, lifecycle issues, external dependencies, and traditional implementation bugs. What it's trying to say is the bug that they were exploiting was not just some little tiny flaw in a code somewhere, but a much bigger chain of operation, a chain of logic that the smart contract runs through, where they found multiple places in it. You had to hit multiple places in order to really pull the exploit off. Struggle Heart says 111. Struggle Heart locked in. I love that. Real world exploits were not caused by isolated bugs alone. That's the takeaway in my opinion. That is why smart contract risk is bigger than asking who was the code audited, right? You also have to ask, how does the whole system behave under pressure? Has it been stress tested? How many years has it been around? Just how many years a project has been around, blockchain has been around, pretty much tells you how many years there's been for people to attack it. Can attackers manipulate the price? Can attackers borrow massive liquidity? We had this whole thing with Zcash, where somebody could have minted all the Zcash they wanted in the world and nobody would have known. Problem? It's private, so nobody knows if they did or if they didn't do that. Who has access to even look at it? Or is it so private, nobody will ever know? That is damaging to the confidence of the people holding it. How do you recover from it? Do we ignore it? Do we just wait to see if somebody massively sells a crazy amount they shouldn't even have? They'll destroy Zcash. If that happens, that's problematic, as that might be enough to get some big holders to move to a different project like Monero. They can borrow massive liquidity. Can they exploit bridge message, right? Can they use governance to change rules? Can they trigger bad liquidations? Takeaway here is a protocol can fail because the code works exactly as it was written. I'll say that again. A protocol can fail simply because the code actually works exactly how it's supposed to work, but the design was exploitable. So they found a way to exploit the smart contract for what it does, give it a different environment, and then what it does now is a negative thing. Normally, users need a smart contract risk checklist, right? Most users are not going to read Solidity code. Solidity is like what Ethereum is coded in, right? And that is fine. But users can still ask better questions. They could raise that crypto IQ and they could ask the right questions. Before using a DeFi protocol, ask, was the protocol audited at all? On a lot of these websites we go to, I don't see anybody audited it, right? Or a hackathon or any of those type of things. Does it mean it's bulletproof? No. Is it better than it not being audited at all? Duh. Who audited it? Big question. How long has it been live? And how long has it been since it was audited? How many times have they upgraded it since then? How much total value locked is at risk in the project? Is there a bug bounty? An incentive for people to find the problems in the code or no? Is the contract upgradable? We talked about that. Immutable, meaning it can't be changed once it's put out. Upgradable, meaning it can be changed once it's out. Who controls the admin keys? Who's got the responsibility? Again, we know that bridges are where a lot of the exploits happen. Know that a lot of it was phishing through admin keys and not actual hacks. Is there a time lock on things like liquidity, total value lock, stuff like that? What oracle does it use? And the time lock they're referring here, I think, is on upgrades and stuff to smart contracts so that you would know before it got upgraded. What oracle does it use? Who's feeding the data to the project? Because there's multiple. There's Chainlink and there's many other ones. Which ones does the project you're bullish on actually use? What happens if the front end goes down? Is there a way to still use and get money and value to move if the front end goes down? I mean, we have all this stuff like, I believe it was Jack Dorsey, who just put out a whole thing where you can basically move and send Bitcoin without any internet. That's pretty big. But if the internet goes down, well, apparently you're still going to be able to move your Bitcoin around. That's huge. Is the yield realistic? That's going to be a whole series that I really, really look forward to. Again, I do these shows for you guys. I also do these shows for me. I ask a lot of times the questions that I want to know. And I think sometimes that's why the topics can be a little bit big and a little bit over people's head. But if I never challenge you to learn, then am I ever really giving you any value? And don't worry, I'll be here to spoon feed and answer any questions, but you got to take the initiative to ask the questions when you don't understand stuff. If the stream's over, direct message me. That's why we have a free Discord. That's why it's linked down in the chat for you. It's in the description. If you fail to ask questions, there are no dumb questions. If you fail to ask them, then nobody can help you, right? It's not about condemnation or shame. It's just nobody can really help you if you don't let them know that you need help. Has the team explained the risk clearly? This will not make risk disappear, but it helps users stop trusting blindly. The takeaway here is you do not need a developer to think a little more carefully in crypto as the user. The big picture, smart contracts move trust into code and design. This is the lesson for Wednesday. Today, smart contracts are one of crypto's greatest innovations, inventions, whatever you want to call it, right? They make DeFi, NFT, DAOs, gaming assets, automated markets, and on-chain financial possible, but they don't remove the risk. I don't want people to be like, oh, smart contracts could have a flaw, so they're not good. No, they're what makes all of crypto work. They're great. But know where the problems can be, and you might save yourself. Again, snakes in the garden. Know where the snakes in the garden like to hide. They move trust into code, audits, admin controls, dependency, economic, and user behavior. That is why smart contract risk belong inside crypto's trust problem. The user is not just trusting projects marketing, they're trusting the system underneath the apps, right? The actual blockchain and the way that it works and stuff. It can get a little complicated. Nobody's expecting you to know how every blockchain works. But if something's brand new and things, you can ask some pretty simple questions like, has anybody ever audited this thing? How long has it been around? If it's only been around 6 months, it's only 6 months for the market to have bad actors try to attack it. The real question is not, is the smart contract trustless? The real question is, what assumptions have we made to be true in this contract? That's the real takeaway from this stream. Now let's talk about the top, gainers, top losers. Aave is the top gainer of the day at 6%. Let's refresh it, make sure this is the right numbers here. Okay, Aave actually coming in at 11%. And they think that Aave could go to $3,500 by the year 2030. Is that a little bit off? Sure. Did they just have some problems? Yeah, that's why you're getting it down at the prices that you're getting it probably. But that doesn't mean it can't happen. And some bank is betting big that Aave is going to $3,500 by the year 2030, which means what? Crypto will have another bull run, according to them, right? Like, because Aave is not going to go to $3,500 by itself and everything else just sit still and Bitcoin still be where it is now in 2030, right? It may be hard to have this euphoric confidence in crypto now at the bottom of a bear market, but that is how it has consistently been at the bottom of every bear market. The same way people have a euphoric confidence in the top of the market and don't think it can go down, and they watch it go to the bottom. Same thing. MemeCore actually recovering a little bit here. It's down 68%. It was down 80. Let's bounce back to our bubbles here. Yeah, okay. And who knows? A lot of times it does this bounce, and then continues lower. What happened to MemeCore? Let's ask ChatGPT. What happened to the crypto project MemeCore today to cause such a heavy price dip? Maybe there's some news I don't know about. And we'll come back to it in a second. Sky AI down 21%. Pump.fun 11%. And it could just be as simple as a whale selling out. There might not be any really big news here, but I am interested to see what it says. I try to provide as much valuable information as I possibly can stack in a 2-hour live stream or more. And if you really value that, smash the like button and make sure you're subscribed. And here's a really big one. Tell anybody who you know loves crypto about the channel. Send it to somebody who you think might even have the slightest shot of caring about crypto, right? And you never know what could happen. What you could be responsible for in raising their crypto IQ. All right, yeah, here is the chart. Yeah, we get it. That's the chart. But what do you got for me? MemeCore had a violent liquidity market structure break. Not clearly confirmed hacker delisting catalyst. Did not find confirmed official statement saying hack or exploit or halt or delisting caused it. Okay. So it probably was just a big whale. Combination of thin real liquidity, concentrated supply concerns, and leveraged traders getting flushed. MemeCore has already been under scrutiny. CCN covered ZAC XBT link concerns about alleged insider control, weak organic demand, questionable market activity, and the risk that a high market cap may not reflect deep real liquidity. Well, it sounds like he was right. That kind of setup can hold up until it suddenly doesn't. There were also earlier warning signs. A June analysis noted MemeCore had already seen a 14% drop, with one interest failing 18%. All right, so the takeaway here is there wasn't some big catalyst, wasn't a hack or anything like that. That's what I really wanted to know. NISA, very much on our radar. Very much something to take a look at. There's a playground. I don't even know what that means. Probably a chat bot with some things built in. I'll be doing some research on this. It is mineable, I guess. That makes it proof of work, right? They're acting like you can do something with nothing, which is cool. I'm sure if you have the Mac Daddy top tier GPUs, I'm sure you're going to earn more than somebody with a, 2-processor standard laptop. But it is what it is. At least you can get in on it, right? And just be interested to see. Now, you do have to download a bunch of stuff on your computer to do stuff like this. There is vulnerabilities and risk. Never telling you to do anything of that nature. Do your own research. Again, we were just talking about trust. This thing hasn't been around very long. Who knows what exploits could happen through the stuff that you download. It could all be malicious from the get-go. It could be just to get you to download stuff on your computer. I'd like to see people use it a little bit before I try to get in on it. That also means you could miss some of the most profitable mining times around. Everything is a trade-off. Nothing is black and white. It's all shades of gray. Risk is everything, right? You think it's risky to do these things? Well, wait till they hand you the bill for never trying. It's more expensive. And that's a huge portion of the show right here. Here's our Twitter doom scroll. Sweeze Hashi, a Bitcoin finance primitive, prepares for global testnet launch in July. With key players like Cumberland, Fluid, Swissborg joining the institutional push. Will this boost mainstream crypto adoption? Never heard of it. This is what this Twitter doom scroll is good, because you just see what people are saying. Everybody wants to be the person who told you about something amazing before it happened. But there's a ton of people trying to, get you to click a link or something like that as well. Meme coins still teach speed, not survival. Is Solana dead or recovering from an all-new time high? What do you think? I think it's in a bear market. That's what I think. Seems like BTC is having a really bad return every 4 years. 2014. Here's your start, end. Basically, it did phenomenal numbers. 2010, right? And the numbers have been smaller and smaller. Something most of you probably already know, right? I call the final flush bottoms $44 to $33. This person's calling here. I mean, isn't that like very 786-ish? They have like a fib. It looks like a fib. I can't really read the numbers. I was actually hoping that clicking on it would make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so they're saying Solana to like 44, 33 bucks. Maybe the short is good. Almost got to be careful what you read on here. What did that say? W called BTC short 3 days ago. Good for him. Got to get through the fluff, right? Micron tokenized stock on Solana by Backpack Securities. Trade 24/7, full redeemable for real shares. Surges 16% after hours. This signals a new trading cycle outside traditional markets. Will this innovation change investing? And that's why it's called a doom scroll, because like this could go on for 4 hours. We could do this for 5 hours. White House denies crypto link the UAE AI deal after Senate Democrats demand hearing. Who knows? People write all kinds of crazy stuff. Nobody knows if any of it means anything. Democrats demand oaths over the administration's ties to the UAE sovereign wealth. Okay. Are we not allowed to be partners with the UAE? The Senate demands answers. Senators want to uncover what administration officials knew about the 500 million crypto transaction involving the Sheikh Tahnoon's network prior to lifting long-standing. Yeah. I don't know a ton about that. Crypto users wary as Anthropic releases Claude Mythos. Crypto users weary as Anthropic releases Claude Mythos with safeguards. Venture capitalist warns AI could simply find crypto exploits. So AI could go after a bunch more exploits, right? It's not great. What are we going to do? What if what if AI is able to exploit everything with quantum computing? Your bank. Like, here's the thing. If you think crypto isn't tight enough security, your bank, I guarantee, is not tight enough security, right? Like, if you could use AI to scroll through the deep web real quick, get past paywalls and shit, and just grab people's social securities and stuff like that, get in the bank, like, it could do so much damage. Great. It could ruin the whole financial sector. We might have to start over. So I think blaming it all, like crypto is going to be the people who get hurt the worst. I don't think so. I think a lot of your traditional stuff is worse. You think they're not going to get into your Webull account, your JP Morgan account? You think they're not going to be able to get into that stuff if they're able to crack blockchain code? I don't know. I don't think the code at JP Morgan is more sophisticated than say, Bitcoin. But what do I know? I'm just some guy on the internet trying to put it all together live with this community. I'm going to play a round of Panzer Dog because it has been a head-pounding, IQ-raising night, I think, for all of us. I would say if you took away 25 to 30% of what was said, you're doing great. Pat yourself on the back. If you're still here, say still here in the chat. Oh, got that laser. Got him. Ooh, gonna get like all three of them. Let's go. No, you don't. I want that health. Just keeping them from getting the health sometimes. Solid. And nobody went for this. Genius. Oh, how did I not get him? That's crazy. Oh, another one bites dust. Refueled, ready to go. I love that you can get them through the walls with the laser. Wow, a little bit of a lag here. Teamwork. I like that they have the missile. Yeah, give me that missile. I totally just ruined that. That was the worst missile shot ever. Still here in the chat, says Stregahart. I appreciate you being here. Stregahart has come into the community not that recently, but also not that long ago as well. And I noticed that he's putting in the work. He's trying to raise his crypto IQ. I can tell he pays attention to what we're talking about and what we're going over. And all I can say is kudos. Who knows what amazing things can stop. And the thing with the compounding nature of raising that crypto IQ is like these things really matter when you're deploying capital in the bottom of the market and stuff. And as we begin to move up, but you're not going to see the full fruit of if you picked well or if you didn't pick well until you hit like the top of the bull market, or probably before the very, very top, but the upper echelons of the top of the bull market, right? And so that's when you really hit it or you didn't hit it. And I think it's normal to take multiple cycles to really get good at crypto. And I've heard a lot of people say, and by people I mean actual people who are big in crypto with lots of money who I had the luxury of meeting personally. And they've all said about the same thing. Everybody who's stuck in crypto for 7, 8, 9 years wound up multimillionaires that they know personally, right? Other people in the space and not all of them influencers, right? Some of them literally people who hold crypto, right? Does that mean that past experiences are guaranteed future experiences? Absolutely not. But what else are you going to do in life? I listen to a ton of Jim Rohn and all kinds of other things. I'm reading right now, or audio booking actually. I say reading because it's a book, but I'm actually listening to the audio book, Think and Grow Rich. One of the top recommended books by Jim Rohn, one of the ones he got started on. So I'm like, all right, if that's where he started, let me at least read it and know what it is, right? And so we're all trying to do that. I'm stuck in crypto for 9 years. I'm poor. I went all in on LTC on Litecoin. Here's a question though, CCP, and I in no way am trying to call you out because I don't know anything about your journey or what you know about crypto. But I will say, how much have you stuck around and listened to some of these crypto raising events? And how much of it is new knowledge to you? Because simply being somebody who held cryptocurrency for 9 years doesn't necessarily mean that you've been putting in a ton of work to really understand the space as it innovates. It does move quickly. So that can have a huge effect on the things you buy, the things you hold, the things you have a lot of faith in. I mean, Litecoin's been around, it's trusted, it has its own ETFs and stuff. Yeah, might not be over at that point, right? Like the next bull run, Litecoin might not be the top mover in there, but I mean, it probably do some decent returns. At least get you back above water. Never financial advice coming from me, but it wouldn't be crazy to speculate that that would happen. And that's kind of the whole point. Now, when you got in 9 years, this, that, and the other, but I bet you've had times where you were up. Maybe you didn't sell. I think we've all been guilty of that. And of course, hindsight 2020. It's easy to look back and say that was clearly the top, or this was clearly the bottom. That's easy stuff to do. And it's easy to be like, oh, I didn't sell then. What an idiot. I wish I would have sold all of my altcoins at the end of 2024. Of course I do. If I would have known what I knew now. But if you go back to 2024, why wouldn't you think, based off the 4-year cycle, which had never really been wrong, you got to use the data that's worked always until it doesn't work, in my opinion. At least that's what we've said for a long time. And the data said, hey, end of the market, 4-year cycle, 2025. At some point, even if it's off a month or whatever, there should be a blow off top or a euphoric market condition for altcoins as the money rotates out of Bitcoin and into other things, right? It never happened. But if you looked at it in 2024, again, just to be repetitive here so you get my point, it would have really just looked like the bull market was really starting to take off. And we were seeing money run in. And I think that's exactly what they wanted. There are people who understand this market and they do manipulate it without a shadow of a doubt. I think it would be naive to really believe anything. Hey, sometimes those hard journeys are what make for the best come-up stories. Everybody loves a good come-up story where you had to stick it in a little bit extra longer than everybody else. You know, there's a lot of times in my life where I felt like everybody won the raffle. Everybody won whatever it was, the competition. And, it always slipped through my hands, right? Sometimes those kind of limiting beliefs can really make you lose when you really shouldn't be losing. But if you believe you always are going to lose, sometimes you lose just because you really believe. You know, I deal with things like manifesting and stuff like that in a very, very different way than a lot of people. Like, way more down to earth, way more realistic, and not a whole bunch of new age nonsense. But there is some truth that, as a man thinketh, so he is. I mean, you believe whatever you want. It's ancient knowledge. As a man thinketh, so he is. It means human, not actual male, right? And I just say all that to say sometimes if you think you're going to lose, sometimes you lose because you think you're going to lose. And I've been guilty of that myself, and also have seen the change from when I stopped believing that I was always going to lose. And guess what? I stopped always losing. Very strange how that happens. Let's see. Now that I'm done playing this, I can see what's going on in the chat here. Everything is new. I understand close to nothing. I buy and hold every coin forever. I was up a lot, but no sell. Yeah, I hold for the next 100 years. There you go. I think my neighbor asked me how to get into crypto in 2025. I should have sold everything then. Then CCP says I won $250 on a radio station contest. CCP, from what you just told me, first off, you're the perfect candidate for what I do here. And I show up and give all the value away for free. I show up and do this show for free. I don't know if anybody realizes it. I'm not making money off of affiliate links at this time. In the future, I may. We're in a bear market and I'm grinding, right? I have the vision and I'm going to see it through. But I just want everybody to realize, first of all, how important it is that you throw a super chat every once in a while so that I can maintain doing this, even though I guess I'm going to do it regardless. So you got me there. But it's just know it's heavily appreciated. Not my point. My point is that you are, the perfect candidate to raise your crypto IQ and it be meaningful for you in the market. I'm not going to promise you anything, but when is more knowledge ever not helped at all? I don't know if there's ever a time more knowledge didn't help anybody. But also, I feel like you should be asking way more questions during the stream if you really want to lock in and know. I don't know when you popped in or when you started watching the show today or in general, but how much of our educational portion of the show were you a part of today? Where you were here for. By a part of, I just mean you were listening. And how much were you locked in? What did you not understand that you could have maybe asked a question about? Things like this are highly important. I can show up every day and say the words and teach the things, but who knows what insight I could have helped with if you would have took the time to ask the question. And I never mean ever, take this from the heart, I never mean shame or condemnation when I say stuff like that. I'm only trying to encourage you to ask questions if maybe you already didn't feel highly confident in asking questions. I want you to feel highly confident in asking questions. That's what I'm really trying to get at. Says I'm a perfect candidate for gender affirmation. Now, you do always make me laugh every time you come in here, so I appreciate you greatly. Struck a Heart says, I just think it's neat. Keep stacking. Yeah. And I mean, everything's risky. That was something I was starting to say earlier about listening to a lot of Jim Rohn. All of it's risky. From the moment you were born, life was risky. Everything is risky. Going to sleep tonight has an air of risk, right? You get bit by a venomous spider in your own house while you're sleeping and not make it to see the morning. It's happened, I'm sure. Some people just stop breathing randomly. It's literally called randomly stop breathing syndrome or something like that. Very close to it. It's not the exact technical term, but you get my point. Anything can happen. All of life is risky. And if you think it's risky to take risks, wait till you get the bill for not taking any risks. Wait until not taking any risks towards the end of your life, 60s, 50s, late 50s, 60s, 70s. Wait until that comes home to roost. This is my personal opinion and philosophy. I'd rather take risks while I'm young, even if it's 30, 40, and 50 years old. To me, that's still young. If I live to 100, that's only 50% of my life. And what are you going to do? Stop, sit in a corner, and be miserable? I'm going to go down swinging one way or another. And those are almost always the stories. The more I read about influential people, rich people, Think and Grow Rich is a really good book. It's written about some of the most wealthy individuals of the last century. You'll see that all of them had the same mind state. They were never going to give up. And they could fail so many times, and they were never going to give up. So I don't care if you come to the stream. I do care if you come to the stream, but what I'm trying to say is this is not a ploy to get you to come to the stream all the time and think that, I'm the greatest person ever. But if you promise yourself that you'll never give up on you, something's going to happen eventually. That's all I got to say. I just want to inspire everybody to keep pushing forward as I continue to push forward myself. My question is just when moon. Hey, I'm already broadcasting right now from an underground moon base where we do all of our research and play Sunflower Land at the end of the stream. So I'm already in the moon. I'm already on the moon, baby. So I don't know what to tell you. I guess you'll have to find your own spaceship. All jokes aside, most likely 2028, top of the next market, something of that nature. maybe late 2027. Do the 4-year cycles stay intact? Was this cycle just a fluke to really shake the confidence because people were getting way too confident? But all of those institutions and people bought. They're not buying and holding to like never make any money. Most of them, their job is literally to make money for the people who are invested in them so that they can get more money invested and make more money so they make more money. You see what I'm saying? It's not in a lot of these people like BlackRock, right? They talk about how much assets under management and stuff like that. But understand, like, those are the assets that were bought with the money that they're supervising. Like, they're supervising money, right? And if they don't return or they lose huge amounts of money, other things are going to pop up and other people are going to go with them and not BlackRock, and they don't want that. So, and they're big enough to manipulate markets and be in with the government and stuff like that. I'm not saying they are, but historically and stuff, they definitely are big enough to have that kind of position, right? And with that, guys, we are well past 2 hours of streaming. Again, I'm not looking for any kind of sympathy or anything. I just want everybody to realize, like, I show up 6 days a week and stream for 2 hours. I don't just sit here and play video games in front of you guys. I try to deliver real value. But it's up to you guys to reach out and take it to get that value. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force a horse to drink water. Those are two totally different things. And I hope it wasn't too preachy. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found something interesting both in the teachings and what's trending. I hope that you're not excited that Meme Core dropped 80% today, because I'm not. I only hold $100 of it, so I'm not really that upset. And I think I bought it like around $1.30 or something, so I'm not down as much as I would be if I bought it at the top. All jokes aside, thank you everybody for being here. Striker Heart says thanks again. Later, everyone. Appreciate everybody. Have a great night. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday, so we will be raising that crypto IQ once again and looking forward to Friday, which is DeFi Friday, one of my favorite streams of the week. And then Saturday, and then a new series in Onward Forever for the next foreseeable future. Have a great night, everybody. Stay underground. Stay crypto. And, consider throwing a super chat in the next one, eh? Underground Crypto out.